Hello, this is Letitia Salter, and thank you for tuning in here for what I'll call a semester in the life of a dedicated faculty member to Engineering W courses and engineering courses with a lot of writing. So I'd like to kind of go through a brief presentation that I gave to the deans back in December or January of last year. This was to basically take a look at what I was doing, because at the time we began this pilot that you're reading about in this report, we really didn't have any idea what I would be doing and what basically the reaction to what I was doing would be. So this was a report that I gave to the deans so we could take a look at what I actually did in the fall semester. As it turns out, the spring semester was almost a mirror image of the fall semester, slightly less active than the fall, which is normal in learning assistance, but almost identical. So let's get started. I want to take a look first at kind of what I'm going to talk with you about. I'm going to first overview all areas of my activity. I'm going to touch on the quantitative data that was gathered. I'm going to touch on qualitative reporting, as well as observations I made from the W course interactions. I've got a few questions about goals of W course support, and I'd like to kind of introduce a few concepts that I felt would possibly enhance the program. All right, so let's look at this. In addition to being a writing fellow, I also taught 2 courses of STLC 101. That is the Succeeding in College course. You'll see the big dip here in week 6 throughout these graphs. That's because Eid last fall fell during that period of time. Let me explain the axes too. We see on this axis, we see what I'm calling learning units. Basically, it's probably easiest to just think in terms of hours. Normally they were an hour, but sometimes they were a good bit longer than an hour, sometimes they were shorter than an hour. But for intents and purposes, let's just call it hours on this side, weeks on the bottom. All right, now, every semester, I always do student consultations in my classes, and in the STLC classes especially, which are the AGP students, they need 2 consultations. I do a beginning consultation and I do a mid-semester consultation. So that's what you see going on in this particular slide. All right, then you can see the number of meetings that I had with the faculty, engineering faculty, who were involved with the W courses and with the courses with a lot of writing. You can see at the beginning of the semester, I had a good number of initial consultations, and throughout the semester, it looks like, kind of on a fairly regular basis, I was meeting with faculty. This was not planned, but this was just the way the flow ended up, of checking in with faculty, seeing how I can help them, meeting and talking with them. Okay, so these are the number of workshops that I did in classes. Basically, you can see that there was, a fairly steady number of workshops. These workshops might be anything from how to make a presentation, how to write an abstract, might be just a writing workshop on some aspect of a report that students were writing. But you can see that across the W courses and other engineering courses, I was fairly active in giving in-class workshops. All right, now I did see other students, and what I call other students would be our former students and graduate students. Toward the end of the semester, I saw, a couple each week. It looks like it wasn't extremely busy, but, a couple of hours each week I would be spending with former students or graduate students. Other workshops conducted, primarily this had to do with some workshops that I'd conducted for the Translation and Interpretation Institute of Cutter Foundation, as well as a couple of off-site meetings that I had doing learning assistance, SAT kind of preparation classes that I did at a couple of local schools. These were little 1-hour workshops at local schools with counselors. And finally, this is the problem area. You can see that our current students who were in the W courses, you can see exactly what you might have predicted. They waited until week 11 before they really started to come and see me about the writing projects that they had in their various classes. In weeks 12, 13, 14, etc., I was working probably 60 to 80 hours a week trying to get what needed to be done plus meet with the students. This was not really a happy situation, and I knew it was coming because from my former experience, this is what we invariably saw. Partially, this is because of the way assignments are structured. Since the assignments are structured to one big outcome at the end, that's when the students, being students, are going to come and seek assistance. So you can see that really I did not see any significant number of students for 11 weeks of the semester. And then all of a sudden I had an avalanche of students, which was really more than I could, that I felt that I could do a good job with. There's just a limit to how many 50-page papers one brain can process during the course of a day. So this is what that looks like. So now let's put them all together, and you can see sort of what my entire semester looked like. First, we've got the student consultations in STLC. Then we have the classes that I taught each week. Then we added in the W course meetings with the faculty. Then we added in the W course workshops that I did. Then we added student conferences for W course students, which of course I just discussed, they stack up all the way here at the end of the semester. And then other courses that were conducted and other student consultations. So if you add all these together, you can see that my weeks were pretty long when you add the number of hours. It was busy, and it was almost too busy in my opinion. But based on what I saw in the next slide, people seem to be fairly satisfied. A couple of other bits of information that I put in here for comparison's sake. In the various classes that I worked with predominantly, I worked with many other classes, but these were the predominant classes that I was assigned to. You can see that I did a significant number of consultations with the students enrolled in those 5 classes that were my primary classes. And when you look at compared to the number enrolled, I think the penetration was extremely good. I had access to my 2013 results from the OASIS, and as I had expressed to the deans, we did not really see very many seniors and upperclassmen. Maybe we would see a few at the very end, but normally we did not see very many of those students coming in for assistance. This is what you can see from fall of 2013. So when you think of comparing 2014 to 2013, active engagement did seem to pay off in terms of actually getting an opportunity to meet with the students one-on-one. I asked each of the people I worked with to give me some feedback. The feedback from the various professors was satisfactory and I think beneficial. There's some things that certainly I would do more of, less of, differently, given the opportunity. The experience was great. There was a tremendous learning curve in this first semester of trying to learn across the curriculum what 4 different disciplines wanted in the way of assistance, what would be beneficial, what would work, and then to go back and create those things and come back and implement those things. This is what the students had to say about the value of the assistance that I provided, not anyone else. It just has to do with what I provided. It seems that the students felt that it was fairly valuable. Other portions of the report you'll see that prove out that most people across the board feel that a dedicated faculty member is a good thing. I had some just additional comments that the students added to their surveys. They proved out some of what I had observed and some points well taken. So I feel that the students' engagement is really important in this process of developing what will be meaningful assistance. Various other people, such as the outside people I worked with, the former students that I worked with, again, gave me really good feedback. All right, so looking ahead, here are some of my key observations. And this is not anyone's fault. This is just fallout from really inattention is I think what's happened. And now over the past year, they assigned me to pay attention to what was going on. So I'm paying attention and trying to put things together that I observed. I see that the writing expectations and assignments are a little vague or not expressed clearly to the students. that's not necessarily the faculty's fault. That's a learned thing to do. And I think that it has to do with faculty not really interacting with people who are involved with writing. I don't think that faculty really have been trained per se. And I don't really think that W courses have been reviewed across the curriculum to see, okay, what is it we're trying to get done? Is it just going to be write a paper and make a presentation at the end of the semester? Does that make it a W course? Well, not exactly. A W course is a bit more complicated than that, but I don't know that really anyone has had time to sit and analyze what needed to be done. Student retention of writing skills from English 210 especially, a little less than I had hoped for. Many of those students have taken English 210 in their freshman and early sophomore years. So by the time they are seniors, they have not had any English instruction per se. So I think that this points to a real need for a way to implement somehow or another English instruction in the upper level division courses. The students are overconfident in their ability. They really don't think they need help. Is this from overlooking as we grade? I don't know. It requires more thought as to what causes the student overconfidence, but absolutely student writing is not good at the junior and senior years. And I don't pretend to have all of the answers, but I can tell you they do need help, and they do need to be, in a way, convinced they need help. I do think the faculty feel somewhat inadequate in assessing writing. They'd like very much for me to go through and assess the writing. It was overwhelming at the end. I really couldn't assess well that many 50-page papers. You know, if you want me just to go through and kind of say, yeah, there's this problem, there's that problem overall, then I could do that. But to go through and give any meaningful feedback on the paper for the student in week 12, 13, 14, that was an impossibility. I simply could not have worked any more hours during the week, during those few weeks. Expectations of form, function, citation guidelines. Students are very, very vague on these things. And these are just some. I list others in the report that you can see. So, what is the goal? Do we just want a better paper? That's not a very good goal for writing assistants. We don't want to just have a better paper for a grade from the faculty standpoint or the student standpoint. How can we build continuity between the academic units and the W course faculty? There should be a way to engage and collaborate, and those would be very productive synergies. Should faculty training be intentional? Possibly. It depends on how you structure support. Should we assess and monitor student progress? I mean, should we have an exit exam? Should we have a junior level exam to see where students are in writing and basically set up some sort of intervention? I don't know. Those are sort of radical ideas, but there are worse ideas. To what extent is ABET a consideration? And for that matter, what extent is the strategic plan a consideration? Should there be a STEM to STEAM accentuation to course projects? There are many opportunities for collaboration, and the student is the winner in the end. So some things that could possibly enhance the program: we do need a virtual space and digital resources. A virtual space meaning a website. In the report, you'll read my idea. It's just an idea for a virtual space. But a virtual space would be a wonderful way for cross-curricular engagement and collaboration. And again, the students would be the winner. But in a virtual space, so would the community, industry, former students, all of the various people who have sought me out because there really isn't a lot of help available on this campus. Should we formalize a W course cohort of engineering faculty? Should we create a group of people and develop those people who are able to train in writing and to teach writing and presentation skills? Should we unify the expectations and deliverables across the curriculum? Should we create maybe an online tutorial course that is maybe given at the junior level to where it's a refresher course in writing? There are many other ideas that I propose in the report that could give you other ideas to develop students and let them develop themselves, which is really even more important at this stage, at an advanced stage. I do think that we just simply need to strive toward more cross-curricular communication, and I tried out something called Grammarly, and it was well received by the students who tried it. Students are still very technology averse, and that's something that is in our strategic plan that I think could be developed further. Students need more technology literacy to where they embrace the technology more rapidly and use it with more frequency. So that's really all I have to say about that. I thank you for your listening. I hope this helped flesh out some of your thoughts about what a dedicated faculty member's role has been and would be in some future iteration of writing and learning assistance. Thank you very much.